today on The Social. Should a joke about men treating commitment like a sports deal be taken seriously? Why a 4-year marriage contract could be the key to unlocking modern love. And navigating dress code dilemmas. A boss wonders how to handle their employees' provocative dressing in a professional environment. Then, brisket and biscuits, smoky eggs Benny, decadent but easy brunch recipes to make your holiday gathering a great success. Plus, feel like you're drowning in yeses at work, effective and empowering ways to say no without the guilt trip. It all starts now on The Social.
Thursday before a long weekend, and the vibe is in the air. Welcome to the show, everybody. We'd also like to welcome back comedian and content creator Carley Thorne. Okay, everybody, so we're going to dive in with this first topic. Should you treat marriage like a 4-year sports contract?
Yes!
So it is complete, get this, complete with performance clauses, the option to renew, and a clean break if it doesn't work out, right? Okay, so Glamour is reporting that the idea has actually picked up steam. It was floated on a podcast with a bunch of guys. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so Carley, what do we think of this? A renewable marriage contract?
I'm not opposed to the idea of it. What annoys me is the packaging as if men in relationships are like pro athletes. Like, women shoulder so much emotional burden in relationships. Thank you. If you want to have pro athlete perks, then you need to perform like a pro athlete.
Okay. I don't want someone to expect me to perform like a pro athlete, though, at all, ever. And I think this is where I get tripped up. If they're modeling this after an athletic thing, there's a power imbalance right out of the gate, because people who are looking at athletes for whether or not they want to sign them again are looking at things like, how is their performance? Imagine if we put that into like a romantic relationship. If a guy was suddenly saying, well, look, you didn't perform well this year, and you had that injury as well, so I think that I'm not going to sign. Like, that is so gross. There's something inherently disgusting about that.
Oh, are you all over it? Look at me, I'm like, I love it. And I tell you what, as a person who, I don't care to get married, and this is the only thing that could even get my toe close to a chapel is something like this. Because let's be real, the original marriage contract is not working, folks. The statistics are not good. The first-year marriage, I think it says 30 to 35% of first marriages end in divorce. Second marriages, it goes up to 60%. Third marriages, 73%. And I think everybody in this room knows somebody who's been divorced. And I know I've seen my friends lose their homes, their pension, their savings, and worst of all, their sanity. So what I like about this, and I'm not thinking about it on a performance like you didn't do this well enough. I'm thinking about it more like, listen, if this doesn't work after a certain amount of time, we all want to make a clean break, right? So let's just say, it's a clean break. If it's not working out, no lawyers, no courtroom, no tug of war over the dog or the air fryer, no drama, no debt, and no drawn out unraveling of this marriage. Sign me up for this. Because I also like the idea that it's going to get rid of any gold digger who thinks they're going to marry you and then 2 years in, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm out and I want half.
Yeah.
No.
Can I ask a question?
No.
I think the question is...
I also don't want to spend all my money on lawyers' fees. I don't want to make some lawyer rich because we can't get along. And most importantly, I think it's gonna force couples to check in with each other. I think there are too many people living under the same roof, and they're really not, they're talking, but they're not talking to each other.
So I guess the question is, why would someone get married then in the first place? So for me, if Ryan said to me when we first got engaged, you know what, I would like this to be a 4-year contract, I would have run so fast the other way, because what it's actually telling me is what it's actually telling me is you're not actually here for the long haul the way that I'm here for the long haul. And I think that it's this kind of attitude that may sully the entire institution of marriage. If you believe in the institute of marriage, and some people don't, and that's great. If it's not for you, it is not for you. But if it is for you, don't just have a party for the gram. You're in it for a bigger reason. And so for me, in this idea of, it kind of treats this person as a disposable commodity. This is I think, the offshoot of swipe culture. Oh, it's so easy. Oh, you don't work out, next, next, next. And to me, it's like, we forget, if you want to be in a marriage, at least my definition is, it is hard work. It ain't rainbows and unicorns all days. And if you actually want to do this thing, because my goal is life partnership, well then guess what? We're going to do this the right way. And if you want a contract, go pretend to be an NBA player and pretend and see how that works out, because I ain't for you. Then don't get married. Then just don't
okay,
get
wait a
married.
minute. What if that's the other option? Is that, like, I am not technically married, as some of you do know. I've been in the same partnership for 25 years. We are life partners. We are never leaving. We've had the hard discussions, and it would take, I don't even know what. I know him pretty well after 25 years. So I wonder if this needs to be tweaked a little bit about a 4-year check-in.
It's the check-in.
The check-in.
That's what I'm.
It's like, how are we feeling? Are we both still on the same page? Are we meeting each other's needs in the same way? What needs to be tweaked? That, to me, is more than about, like, okay, we're gonna just rip up this contract.
Do you feel like you have another 4 years in you?
Yeah.
We're entering year 4. Let's really think about it. Do you think you can do another 4? Because it's not just me you're marrying, it's my entire family, it's my finances, it's everything. So are we still on the same page? Because this is a reality, we all change. I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago, and that's just me. Right? And if I'm trying to live with somebody and combine our lives, I think it's fair to have a 4-year check-in. Not so much on this.
But why 4 years? Why not every day? I choose my partner every day. I choose the hard.
Here's the deal.
I choose the good.
I love that, but I'm a heterosexual man dating heterosexual men. Honey, that conversation is not always happening. I'm not always getting the communication that I need. So I'm like, I would like the check-in, because then it forces the conversation to happen.
I like it too, because sometimes bringing up something that maybe isn't working for you in your relationship can feel like you're starting a fight, even if you aren't. And I think it's helpful to think of it as your relationship is something that you and your partner work on together. It's not somebody's the problem or you're the problem. So being like, every September 1st, we're gonna meet up and we're gonna say what's working and what's not working, so you don't have to go home one day and be like, hey, and upset them, you know?
Or wait for the volcano, because it always ends up in some big fight where you're like, okay, we just tried to order pizza, but now we're getting a divorce. Like, the conversation hasn't been had. But let's move on to our next topic. Check this out. With the high cost of eggs in the U.S., people on social media are coming up with alternative foods to die for Easter, like potatoes and pasta shells. So, does this make sense to you guys? Your face, the bunnies in the front row are not having it. I'm gonna say that up front. They're not here for this. What do you guys think?
I do have some really vivid memories of my childhood, and if anyone else remembers this, like, nod your head. But, like, when my mom would get the eggs and blow out...
What?
But my mom, and this is so disgusting when you think about it, would blow, like, would poke a hole on either end of the egg and blow it out so that they could keep the eggs and then cook them up for your lunch or dinner or whatever.
I'm sorry.
Right?
You guys know
you blow it out, you let it dry, and then you decorate the egg, right?
So you're blowing all the contents of the egg out of a tiny little hole?
Yeah, and then you cook it up.
Does it break when the egg breaks?
It doesn't break.
No,
it's a very delicate thing. It's a very, Anyway, I always say that.
That sounds
I think you're blowing pretty hard. I'm open for Sorry. Are we okay with this?
You know what?
Guys, I'll let someone else take it.
We just landed in grade 4 again, so it's what we did. But anyway,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I remember being a kid and going on Easter egg hunts, and I just wanted chocolate. I wanted eggs that looked like chocolate, but I didn't want a hard-boiled egg cooking in the hot sun. Like, I was never happy to find an egg. I was happy to find chocolate. So I don't think that the actual egg of it all matters to me. I didn't like hard-boiled eggs as a kid.
I don't have much to contribute, because in my household, you weren't allowed to waste food. Like,
that's what you would blow the egg out.
I never heard of that until right now. That's why I was like, how hard are we blowing on this? I've never heard of this before. I'm gonna stop saying blowing and hard and egg. Okay, so. We didn't do this in my house, so that's why we just got chocolate and we got little goodies, but we didn't do this. So I really don't have a lot to say, but I would love to see someone do this.
I think, we do need to see a... This was a thing, like, listen, I was raised Catholic, and so the egg is very symbolic at this time of year.
Why
in
is
my
that?
family, the egg represents, it's, you know, it depends. I don't want to go into a history lesson. Some people say it predates Christianity.
Pagan, for sure.
It's probably
it's because
pagan.
Jesus came
rebirth.
out again?
It is rebirth. It is spring. It's fertility. It's all the things. Why a rabbit is laying an egg, I have no idea.
Because they're very fertile.
No idea.
They're very fertile.
Sure, but they don't lay eggs. They just make other little bunnies. But anyway, long story short, I remember doing this in arts and crafts, and I do love arts and crafts. Arts and crafts with kids, and giving mom 5 minutes to herself. I don't care what it takes. Just let the mom have a 5-minute break. But to me, I think it's a really great time to be able to analyze when you see produce. This is much more of an American thing, and in fact, it's probably an American story, because those poor people, they are trying to cross a border just to get an egg up here. They really, really are. So maybe it's a time to rethink the entire tradition completely, you know? And not everybody is celebrating Easter proper, and I'm open to that as well. Bring on the potatoes. Bring on the potatoes. We love potatoes. After the break, everybody, a real life dress code dilemma. So a boss wants to know how to ask an employee to stop dressing sexy at the office. Okay, it's gonna get a little uncomfortable. So what advice would you give? We're gonna tell you the story and what you would do after this.
Next week on The Social, Chad Michael Murray and Morgan Cohan take us behind the scenes of the new season of Sullivan's Crossing.
Yelling at your screen right now, why don't you jump onto social media instead and you can dive into this conversation online.
So a boss wrote to the Washington Post to ask how to handle a female employee's inappropriate work attire. So they say that other workers are complaining that her outfits are distracting and unprofessional. For instance, she recently came in wearing a black lace dress with cleavage. So you're a boss in this scenario. What would you do here?
I think that you shoot from the hip and you're direct right off the bat, even in the interview before the person even gets the job. It's like, here's this job, here are the expectations for what you're supposed to wear. Definitely. And that's all I've ever known. Working in television, I remember when I was trying to get a job in the US, there was a company that a lot of the TV stations was using. And before you would get your job, they would tell you, listen, these are the colors you're gonna wear, these are the types of suits you're gonna wear, this is the length of the skirt you're gonna wear, this is how short you're gonna cut your hair. And if you didn't like it, I'm talking about the bigger stations, if you didn't like it, you didn't abide by it, you just weren't getting the job. I was even told, listen, no weaves, don't even think about a wig. You have to have all your, directly to my face during an interview, because it's like, it's this or it's nothing. And I think it was very direct. It was either for me to leave it, take it or leave it. So I like the directness. Tell people right off the bat, this is the expectation, so you're not having this awkward, like, you're giving too much.
I agree.
Because then I know.
I don't think anybody knows how to dress for the office anymore. I think that working from home has made that really, really hard, and I think it would be actually helpful. My actual advice is, like, have a meeting where you go over expectations so people know what to wear, because you can't be upset at someone for not meeting expectations you haven't been explicit about. It's not fair.
That's my point. It's like, you gotta
I think there is a little gray area. I don't disagree. I think being upfront and having a dress code for most places is probably par for the course. Where this gets me a little bit icky is that it is maybe, I don't know if this case, but it could veer easily into policing women's bodies. It's always somehow a problem with a woman's wardrobe, and somehow it's never the guy who doesn't look like he irons his clothes and does laundry. Which is equally offensive. And so to me, the question is her outfit actually inappropriate, or are you just uncomfortable?
Well, people in this case, people have been complaining, though. So this is where it's really tricky. Is that if it's truthful that other people in the office are complaining, and then the boss, and then you get into gender imbalances. We don't know the gender of this boss, but if it is a man, and he's talking about, so he apparently saw this woman wearing this lacy dress, and he was like, wow, you're dressed up for the work day. And she's like, I'm going on a date after work. But this starts to become this kind of strange situation.
But men can be inappropriate. Well, I remember I worked with a guy on a morning show, and he would be 3 buttons undone at 7 a.m., chest hairs, talking about the traffic. I was like, bro, you gotta button up the shirts. And those dress pants where I can see which side you're leaning on, no. We need to loosen the pants, not just the girls. The boys need to be told as well. Sorry, I had to say it, right?
agree, but would someone argue that that is inappropriate, or he's just going to be, well, that's just my job?
No, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate.
I think that there's a double standard even for body type. I found as somebody who's really short and also quite just like flat, I can get away with a lot because my body isn't distracting, right? And I've had a lot of friends who are curvier than me, who are taller than me, that have to wear long skirts, even if it is appropriate, because it doesn't look appropriate on them. And that's not very fair. You don't get to choose your body shape.
Yeah, no, good point.
It's such a tricky thing. I think that we're, in the absence of, if you didn't have the conversation to begin with to talk about what the office, what the dress code looks like, I think if you miss that opportunity, I think where people or managers go wrong is they sit down with an employee in this kind of situation and it becomes their fear or their anxiety and their shame comes out, and it can easily go into really, really bad territory where they're saying, you've done this, you've dressed like this, blah, 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 and that is a recipe for disaster. I think if you are going to handle this properly.
Right off the bat.
Well, if you, either right off the bat, and if you miss that, you have to make sure that you are treading so cautiously and you're taking it away from them as like the way that they look.
It shouldn't be blaming, and I don't think you should go into it saying, we've had some complaints, because then people feel like everyone's talking about them.
Exactly.
That's uncomfortable.
Exactly.
All right,
tread
so
carefully.
Let's stick with fashion. Have you heard of Pickle? Okay, that silence tells me everything. It's a peer-to-peer clothing rental app. Anyone can list their clothes to rent out for days, weeks, or even months at a time. So, big question, would you let strangers borrow your clothes? Carly, I'm gonna throw this one to you, my friend.
I'm interested in it definitely as a consumer, because I feel for renting people's clothes, because I'm so often like doing something like this or going to a wedding and I buy something that I wear once and then I never wear it again. And you know, now we are in tough times. We are tightening our belt loops a bit, and it would be nice, instead of having to pay $300 for a dress I wear once and then feeling bad about it, paying $60 for a nice dress. I think that'd be nice. I will say, from a standpoint of sharing my own clothing, I don't know if I would, because I feel like I lend books to friends a lot. Like, people see me read and they go, oh, can you give me that book? And then it comes back destroyed, or never, or they never get it back.
That's the key. I think you have to be willing to let it get beat up a little bit between makeup and sweat and, you know, things that are broken. I think you have to, you're not giving your best stuff, right? Like,
you can't.
It's stuff that you're willing to give up. And I don't know, like, my girlfriends and I kind of do this unofficially without money being exchanged. I think that's the difference. Maybe because we trust each other, for sure. But I think this is an entrepreneurial play.
Definitely.
I also think that this is an anti-fast fashion play.
That's what I really like about it.
I'm into that idea, and I think there are a lot of great rental places. I have rented dresses for events before, because I'm like, I'm not justifying paying this amount of money for one event, and as soon as we get photographed in something, then you're never going to wear it again. I mean, that's
most people
a
feel
TV
that
problem.
way. No, but even if they go to a wedding or something like that, there's a lot of photos.
Definitely.
What's interesting about this is it started off, I think, with micro-influencers, so people who maybe are wearing a lot of different kinds of clothes for their content, and it was sort of peer-to-peer, and then it's expanded out. But there was one micro-influencer in this who received around 16 grand for these rentals in 1 year.
That's good money.
Which is pretty good money when you think about it.
Money.
Having said that, there was a user experience where they had last minute, they decided to they were going to a wedding and they decided to do a rent, and when they got the item, it was gross and stinky. So you're going to deal with all those kinds of things.
Then you get a bad review, and then no one's going to rent from you.
That's exactly the premise.
$16,000, you just changed my mind right there.
I know, right?
There you go. Listen, anybody who grew up with siblings of the same gender who are always borrowing your clothes without asking, I'm not going to say any names, but you know who you are. This triggers something about borrowing. It's like, no, you're not going to give it to me back in the same way that I gave it to you, and now I have all the anxiety and anger about it. I will donate, I will sell, but the borrowing, but then I heard $16,000. I'm like, you know what?
I think you're right. Like, if you're treating
something new.
If you're treating it like a business, then it's fine, because, you know, you're dry cleaning the clothes, you're treating it like a business,
you're right.
as opposed to doing it casually.
And keep your favorites out of it.
Exactly.
Right.
You're curating a collection of clothes that you know you're fine.
I'm in now.
Okay, a side hustle is born.
Yes.
There it is. Let's take another break, everybody. So, a silent but deadly dating dilemma. Can flatulence ruin a promising relationship? Okay, we're going to tell you this story and ask where you land right after this. like to keep it real here on the social. So when we saw someone who wrote to the Toronto Star for advice on how to handle their dates' farts, we decided we should weigh in. This person says that while on a romantic getaway with a woman, they woke up to the sound of her letting it rip over and over and over again while she was sleeping. This person writes, the smell was such a buzzkill, they're asking, how do I break up with her? Carly?
First of all, I'm a tummy ache survivor and a vegan. So the smells that my body makes is unlike no man, and you can't fathom it. And I just want to say, let women fart. Like, it's natural. It's good for you. Also, you think women don't fart? Grow up. Grow up. If it's a deal breaker for you, lie. Say you're really busy at work. Say your life is crazy right now if it's that bad. But I think to a greater extent, like, welcome to adult women. Welcome to dating women.
Thank you.
We fart.
I feel much better because this actually happened to me. I'm a confession. My name is Andrea Bain, and I am a night farter. You're welcome. And I actually was on a romantic vacation with this guy. And I don't know, when you're on vacation, you're eating all kind of exotic foods.
Yeah.
Yes. And at night, nighttime fell, and I farted so loud that I woke myself up. And I literally thought someone was in the room. I was like, what happened? And I was like, well, that was me. We laughed so hard, and I feel like, is this, you don't want to break up with someone over this. You just don't like her, because honestly, we laughed until we cried about this. And help a girl out, open a window. Yeah. Do some of those tummy exercises before bed so we can get all the flatulence out and have a peaceful night. But you don't break up with somebody over this.
Like, I don't think he likes this.
Whoever
this person does not like this woman very much, because otherwise this would be an occasion to laugh. The only other thing I could think of is like, for some people, this might be an indicator if it's a regular thing of like some kind of, I don't know, intestinal health or something like that. And that you might be like worried that it is pointing to a deeper issue. And I do know there are some women out there who their libido is really tied to their sense of smell of somebody. So it could be just an ick that's developed. And in which case, I agree though, you don't tell the person that that's the reason why. You just don't.
You just lie.
Yeah, you lie.
I just think, like, women aren't always going to be prim and proper, and I think if you are going to be dating adult women, you have to get used to the idea that they're not always going to smell perfect, they're not always going to look perfect.
Thank you.
Like, if you're waking up with this woman, she's going to have like greasy hair and the makeup off, and that's what a relationship is.
And that's why I think that this was just a booty call. I think that this person thought...
It's been 4-month-long booty call?
Was it 4 months?
Yes.
4 months. Oh, 4 months.
Or he's one of these ridiculous guys who meets a girl and expects her to be some kind of Barbie doll where she doesn't do anything wrong and she wakes up and she's all like rosy cheeked and she has mascara on. Maybe he's one of those dudes, because there are a lot of guys who don't like a woman to be her authentic
But if there's a guy in your bed who's regularly farting, like to the point where he wakes you up?
Who here slept with a man? That's happened plenty of times.
Yeah.
And we just get over it.
Yeah, it goes back to a discussion we had earlier, like what is acceptable behavior for a man and what is acceptable behavior for a woman.
Yeah.
And I just think that it is absolutely a double standard. Listen, there are sleep divorces. If this is really a problem for you, sleep in a separate room. But if this is grounds for divorce, I say, girl, lose the 180 pounds and get rid of this jerk.
Yeah. Sleep farters unite.
All right, Carly, we love having you here as always. Thank you so much. We bring you here to talk about all the things, all the time. Very serious things. Hard news. That's what we do here, everybody.
Night farts.
Up next, everybody, Easter brunch made easy. Recipes that you're going to want to do, perhaps even this weekend ahead, so don't go anywhere.
Weekend, and if you have friends or family coming over, you might still be wondering how you're going to get delicious food on the table while also making sure that everyone has a fantastic time.
Well, our next guest is here with decadent but easy brunch ideas that will ensure that your gathering is a great success. Please welcome back to the show, Chef Raquel Fox. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're so happy
Thank
to
you
have
for
you
having
here.
me.
All right, listen, this table looks incredible, but we're going to start off talking about a brunch favorite. We're talking about Eggs Benedict. Give us your spin on it.
Okay, so whenever I go to any restaurant, I head straight to the menu where the bennies are, okay? And I love interesting and unique bennies, but let me tell you, I brought you a real Eggs Benny that you're just gonna swoon over today.
My God, okay.
We're talking about the perfect poached eggs with creamy center. We're talking about a creamy hollandaise sauce and my smoked brisket.
Can we
What?
eat? Okay. I'm waiting for us to be told we can eat yet.
Are we allowed to eat this? Is this the one?
That's the one.
Okay, so
just go.
I'm gonna ask the question before I
ahead.
put this in my mouth.
Okay.
Because this requires poaching an egg, and guess what? I've never poached an egg before.
Me either.
Will you
All
show
right.
me, okay?
Well, fill your mouth with that deliciousness because you're about to get started. But isn't that amazing? All right, so a hack for the easiest poached eggs when you have guests, okay? So all we need to do, we brought this pot of water, we put a tablespoon of vinegar in it, and all you're going to do, separate your eggs always into ramekins just so there's no eggshells, and we have this on a simmer. I am going to create a water vortex, just a couple swirls, and you just slide that egg
What do you
in
mean, in the
there.
side or in the middle?
In it, wherever you want to. It's
You
swirling.
can do it, Melissa.
It's a whirlpool.
We believe in you.
See? It's that easy. Yes, yes. Look at you.
was good.
That's beautiful,
That's
right?
it?
And look at that.
Are you
The
sure it
whites-
doesn't look very pretty, Raquel?
It's going to look pretty. Don't worry about
Okay,
that.
okay,
You know,
okay,
the
good.
whites float.
Okay.
And, you know, you just go ahead, clockwise position. If you had extras, then you'll drop those in. And it's going to take only 3 minutes. Now, for the hack. So the hack is all about when your eggs are completed, all you're going to do is just pick it up, and
it up.
it's still going right now, but you're just gonna scoop it up. We have an ice bath right here, and all we're going to do is just drop it in that ice bath, put it in your refrigerator, add as many as you want to this, and it's good for 8 hours. And then when your guests are here, you put it back in 1 minute only, and your poached
And then you can
eggs are
serve it.
perfect
That's
every
brilliant.
time.
Okay, so
No idea.
me either. While this egg is cooking, talk to us about the hollandaise sauce.
Oh, yes. So let's talk hollandaise. Hollandaise is known to separate. And that's because of the milk solids inside of the butter.
Okay.
But, you know, most people would just go through the process of clarifying the butter in a double broiler. Well, I have a hack for you. All you're going to do is put all of the ingredients inside of a blender. So your 2 egg yolks, your lemon juice, because the acidity helps to emulsify the mixture, your salt, and you know, you're gonna blitz it for about 15 seconds. And then you're simply going to just melt your butter nice and hot in the microwave and turn the blender on running, and then you just add your butter. And you have the most creamiest, delicious hollandaise.
Look at that.
Delicious.
While waiting, if your hollandaise happens to separate for any reason, all you have to do is just a 1/4 cup of warm water, add a tablespoon at a time, and blitz it again in the blender.
And it's good to go.
Perfect, creamy.
Beautiful.
Look at that.
We're gonna get
Okay?
you, great hack.
All right,
Let's
these
finish up
eggs
the
are
poach
ready.
before we get to the meat. So
Look at that. Look at that. You did that.
Well, you did that.
You did that.
No, that was you. You dropped it in.
We'll put it on a paper towel.
I did this much.
And
I
didn't
now
realize
for
it
the
was that
perfect
easy.
test. Let's see. Everyone
What happened?
loves
What's the test?
Creamy yolk center, the sweet spot.
Whoa, it's
Look at
perfect.
that.
Beautiful. Okay.
That's
Perfect.
perfect.
poached egg.
Teamwork.
Teamwork make the dream work.
It's true. And you also say that there's a bit of a hack and a shortcut for the meat part, the brisket part. You say leftovers could be even an option.
Oh, yes. So brisket is the perfect leftover, right? Because we have to do so much of it, use a big chunk of it to smoke it. And we smoke it, basically, you're looking for about 14 hours, okay? 7 hours smoke and 7 hours cook, and then you want it to rest for about 3-4 hours. So we have to utilize all of this brisket, and it should have the perfect pink smoke ring and a nice bark and tender juiciness. That's a wonderful brisket. This one is glazed with my maple habanero barbecue sauce.
That's what that is.
sweet and spicy. And look at Andrea.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
You know I like to eat, right? So I'm like,
I love it.
I didn't know it took that long to cook a brisket.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna
but
appreciate it
taste
differently.
it. It's worth the flavor.
Listen.
So this is a Benny like you've never had.
Listen,
before.
I love that. But next, we're going to talk about my favorite part of a meal. It's the biscuit.
The biscuit.
I love a good biscuit.
Yes. Well, this biscuit happens to be history you're eating here because this is my sourdough 12th century Johnny cake. And the origin really dates back from our Lucayan Arawakan indigenous people of the Bahamas.
Oh, no way.
And this is a cake-like bread that I've made into biscuits. So, absolutely delicious.
I just want to taste the biscuit.
And you know what? You can make this a day ahead, and to basically serve it fresh again, all you need to do, damp a paper towel, put it over the biscuit, put it in the microwave for about 20 seconds, fresh brisket, or in a skillet, cover with aluminum foil, a few minutes. Isn't that Johnny cake
It's delicious.
amazing?
I love a good biscuit. This is incredible.
This is incredible. Okay, you've got some great sides to go along with this. What did you bring?
So, we're talking about my rosemary garlic potatoes. Perfect side for a spring brunch. And this garlic permeates through these potatoes because I like to poach my garlic. Guys, when you poach garlic in olive oil, you can also use the oil to flavor because the oil now has a garlic flavor.
Brilliant.
So this has the garlic oil and also the garlic because once you poached it, it's now nutty and a sweet flavor profile. And you chop it up, add it to those potatoes, some rosemary, and it is true bliss.
This is delicious. Wow. I know. This is really good.
And the rosemary is insane.
Yes.
Everything we eat just keeps getting better and better and better.
So we got to do a little healthy on the side as well, right?
Okay,
Even though this is really good.
We like that too.
Let's have a beautiful floral spring salad.
Beautiful.
Using edible flowers and a little, you can use whatever dressing you want, oil and vinegar. But look at this salad.
Beautiful.
Doesn't it say spring has sprung?
Yeah, no, it's
Gorgeous.
beautiful. It's beautiful. And it makes us feel less guilty. It's fantastic. All right, so talk to us about these delightful looking drinks that you brought.
Oh, listen, this is butterfly pea flour or tea, right?
Okay.
Made from the flour, very popular in the Caribbean, Thailand as well. It's loaded with antioxidants, great for brain health, great for inflammation, mild, delicious flavor, not too sweet at all. You can sweeten it with honey or whatever you want.
Wow. Can you
put
But
alcohol
it's
in
beautiful too. Yeah, girl.
Okay, I was like, can we put a little
Just
champagne in
saying.
this? Just asking.
I mean, it looks like it's grape juice, but it's not sweet.
It's not
No
sweet at
sweetness
all.
to it.
And the wonderful thing about it is the more tea or the less tea, you can choose a color, a lighter blue, a darker blue, whatever. We eat with
Beautiful
our
to look
eyes
at.
first.
It's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Doesn't
finally we've got one more dish, and it's called Dutch baby pancakes.
Yes. So we have to end spring brunch with a sweet ending.
I love this.
We just don't want all savory.
Yes, please.
So, Dutch baby pancakes. They happen to be my favorite. And you know what? These are mini ones. You can do a really big one. All right, a pause for the cause. But expression right now is so great.
We're listening.
Oh my God.
And these are my guava cream Dutch baby pancakes. You can just, it's so easy, guys. You put everything in the blender, the eggs, the milk, the flour, blend it up, put it in a hot skillet that's already in your oven. Just place a little, 1-2 tablespoons of butter, pour that batter into the skillet, put it on 425 degrees Fahrenheit and bake it for 20 minutes. And it's as simple as that. You can also make the batter a day ahead. How easy
That's a smart
is
thing
that,
to do.
right?
So
Unbelievable. We are just feasting here. This was the Easter brunch that everybody needed. Raquel, thank you so much. This is absolutely
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. Okay, audience, you are in luck because Raquel is sending you all home with a beautiful collection of her Island Girl sausage. You're so lucky. You're so lucky. That's amazing. Okay, don't go anywhere. We're going to be learning how to say no in the workplace when we come back. We'll be back. This is...
Welcome back. So 2 simple letters, 1 small word, but our next guest says it can pack a mighty punch.
So here to chat with us about effective and empowering ways to say no in the workplace is leadership expert Kendra Reddy. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Kendra, I feel like most of us have gone through the experience of having to say no to something. Why do we fear it so much?
Yeah, it does pack a big punch, and we're scared because biologically we're hardwired to fear rejection, criticism, and judgment from others. And then when you take it into the workplace, there's like a hyper focus on teamwork and positivity. So if we say no, it kind of feels like, am I signing my own pink slip here? No isn't the villain. It's an expression of your priorities, your energy, your time, and your values.
Okay, that sounds good. So you actually say that a really great way to make work a less important aspect of our lives is by saying no in the workplace. Can you explain that a little bit further?
I find that work takes up a huge amount of space in our lives. It tends to be at the center of everything. But then also that space is really filled with urgency, stress, and a lot of overgiving. And so sometimes I think, well, who profits from that? Yeah. Decentering work doesn't mean not working at all. It means just believing that your purpose doesn't have to come from your paycheck. So some small ways that you can do that at work is start saying no to like special committees, task forces, anything that's going to consume more of your attention with work.
Okay, got it. So how do we say no without crossing boundaries and then still being seen as a team player?
Yeah, it's important. It is a fine balance. What you don't want to do is like, no, and then head for the hills, right? Calmly. Listen, I'm not saying no to be a jerk. I just don't want to say yes and then not deliver, right?
Ooh,
so
good line.
It's
good
calm.
line.
It's a calm response to that. Yeah.
Okay. So how do we know when it's okay to say no to a task or a project?
I think, you know, again, there's this tendency to just immediately be obedient and say yes. Every company, even the best ones, are going to take everything they can get from you and still want more. So our job is to check in with ourselves before we just respond out of autopilot or just, you know, blind ambition. One of my favorite sayings is, hey, wow, that sounds really important. I need to take a second before I respond.
The pause.
That's not rejection, it's respect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, good point.
There's so much to weigh up. The ask may sound so small, but you have to think, is this a one-time ask or is it a whole new responsibility for my job? Is it gonna overwhelm me? Is it gonna grow me? Am I being asked because I'm the best person or just because no one else wants to do this? Is it really that urgent? Do I even want to? Am I excited about this? It's fair and professional for you to be able to ask those questions to your manager because you need to know what the trade-offs and the payoffs are before you commit.
These are great tips, Kendra.
Thank
okay, so
you.
we want to put them into use. So we're going to run through a couple of scenarios so we can learn how to navigate sticky situations at work in the most effective way possible, starting with this picture, okay? I've been asked to stay late for a project that isn't mine, and I've made plans after work. So how would you approach saying no in that scenario?
Ooh. I have a commitment that can't be changed on short notice.
Oh.
Hey.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, here's the next scenario. My coworker has been taking a lot of time off. She and I work very closely together, and I am finding that I'm having to pick up a lot of slack. How can I approach saying no to constantly covering for her? Ooh, this is tricky.
It's a bit dicey. If you're friends with her first, I'd say maybe have a conversation with her, but to management, I would say, hey, listen, I notice I'm being asked to cover for so-and-so a lot. That's not sustainable long-term, so I'm curious, what's the plan?
Good one.
I love it!
That's so good.
Okay, so here's another scenario. My boss wants to meet with me to acknowledge my hard work and offers me more responsibilities with a title change, but no raise.
Of course.
So how can I say no? This actually happened to me once a number of years ago. How would you say no to this offer?
I would say, wow, thank you, I deserve that. And I have some questions and concerns. Let's talk.
Okay.
You know what I want to know? Will you pay me back retroactively? Will you make me whole? By when? And will you put that in writing?
Yes.
Put it in writing.
Pay me back
Oh my God. She's like, that's hilarious, but that's also the truth.
The truth.
It's the truth. Okay, next one. I've been working from home since the pandemic, but now I'm being asked to come back to the office. I feel strongly that my work can be done from home. Oh my God, this is like a lot of people's scenario right now. How would you approach this discussion?
I have two. Semi-spicy, really spicy. You know, my current setup at home really lets me perform at my highest level, and I'd love to continue things how they are.
Okay.
Spicier?
Spicier.
You know, I do value the team, and I do value the office environment, but at this point, I'm not open to returning.
Wow. Okay. I've been invited out after work with a few of my coworkers, but this is me. I just want to go home and lay on my couch. How can I approach my no without ruffling any feathers or damaging my relationships with my coworkers?
I'm a no for tonight, but have a blast, and I'll be there next time.
Except that I won't.
Okay, I requested 2 consecutive weeks off work, and I'm being told I'm only allowed to take 1. So how would you say no, I guess because I want the 2 weeks?
This is why I quit my job, by the way. That's not going to work for me. My vacation is part of my compensation package, but I am willing to help you figure out a plan to make sure there's coverage for while I'm gone.
Okay.
Such empowered ideas. Calm, steady, to the point, empowering.
And empowering. Kendra, I think a lot of people are going to PVR this segment and then write it all down. This is so empowering. Thank you so much. Great advice. Okay. Rewind. We know you will be. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Next week on the show, heartthrob Chad Michael Murray is back. He's going to be teasing us with the latest season of Sullivan's Crossing, and also he's going to be in the new Freaky Friday movie, which means, you know, we are going to be asking him on what it's like working with Lindsay Lohan, who's in the film. Also, Tuesday is Earth Day. Mark your calendar. Yes. So we'll be having an Earth Day special here and have recipes on plant-based treats and sustainable beauty products to have on your radar as well. And of course, long weekend ahead, maybe not necessarily everybody celebrating Easter proper. Any fun plans, ladies?
I'm going to be doing a little bit of church, a little bit of family, and I started playing tennis, so I'll also be playing tennis.
Oh, yes. Amen.
I'm going to be up visiting my family, my parents, and we're going to do an Easter egg hunt. I'm sure still.
Are you going to blow those eggs out?
I'm not going to blow the eggs out. Maybe I will just for you. Send you a little video.
Send me a video.
Okay, all right.
What are you doing?
Teach me how to blow.
Yeah, heading up to the horse farm. Of course, we'll be doing some riding over the weekend as well. Easter egg hunt, and then Filipino fam jam, which means I'm coming in about 15 pounds heavier on Monday. So that's the way I like it. Just the way I like it. Okay, don't forget, you can catch us on Crave as well. We are on YouTube. We also have our podcast on the iHeartRadio app. And don't forget that we are called The Social. Social media is where it's at. So if you want to chime in online, we've got all of our channels open for you. The conversation is here, but it never ends online. We hope that you have a wonderful long weekend. We hope that you have a wonderful long weekend. Be safe, everybody.